And yeah, we were kind of dumb and young, and we said yes. And so we had the two males, and they were about 6 months old. And then yeah, we learned all the hard lessons of having two intact males and everything that came with it. But that's kind of when I got my feet wet. Really didn't ever had, back then I was young. I was 19, so I wasn't really thinking about breeding or the dog game. I didn't really understand what it was all about. I was just trying to survive. And then, fast forward, professionally, life took me on the road. I was traveling quite a bit, but we always had an American Bulldog. By the time I got past the first two, I had learned some substantial lessons. And then from there, I had picked up another pup from a gentleman up in Cleveland. He had a Freddy Krueger grandson that he had been working protection. He had actually been trying to get the dog certified to do actual canine work for the police department, but he was getting kind of roadblocked because of just the general persona. I think at the time, Pitt still had a bad name. The American Bulldog kind of looked like a Pitt, but even bigger. And as far as going into service work, I think the public persona and the stigma around the breed kind of stipend him a little bit. But what it showed me when I was up there was the dog was highly trainable, super intelligent. And inversely, I didn't know what I was looking at. Again, I was just a pet owner at the time, wanted a cool dog, just picked one of the pups, took him home. And honestly, the dog was absolutely amazing animal in a lot of respects. Fell short in a few, but the intelligence traveled through the genetics, and he was super easy to train. And at the time, we were fixing to have our first kid. So from the first mistakes, I had made the decision, well, I'm going to get a trainer in here and train me to train the dog. And so that was my first kind of introduction to real training, getting the dog fully off leash trained, 100% controllable. And since that dog kind of had that genetics, he really picked up, and kind of that genetic imprint just kind of carried right along. So he was really good there. Where he wasn't really good was he just hated men. He hated all men. The only person he truly liked as a man was myself and a handful of friends. But with that being said, his temperament was strong enough that I could put him in a place command and have company over. He'd never leave the spot. Now, he wasn't the most friendly. He didn't have the most friendly demeanor sitting there, but he stayed there. And he went on and lived full life with us. I think we ended up having to put him down at maybe 13 years old.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
he did the full trek. He was with my kids for, a good portion of their life. And then right before he was getting kind of in that last year or two, I started picking up another dog, and then it kind of snowballed a little bit. We had changed homes, got out of a suburb or a development, I should say, and moved out onto some property. And that's kind of when I really got really full steam into the dogs. I started attending dog shows, seeing more dogs, what was out there, starting to get back. I had come off the road professionally, so I was actually working locally. And that's kind of when I started really kind of getting my roots down and figuring out, okay, what am I trying to do here? I was like, well, I kind of had interest in showing the dogs. When I went to the shows, I got introduced to weight pull and hang time and tug of war and some of the stuff that was happening kind of in that 2009, 2010 era, when the shows were still kind of big and getting a lot of traction. And that kind of gave me a good synopsis of what was out there for the dogs. Up here, for the most part, it was mostly a bully crowd. So, in American Bulldogs, we have both standards. We have what is now referred to as the standard and either the bully or the classic. So you have kind of the sport model and kind of the bodybuilder model, if you will, or a little bit more substance. So up here, it was all bully crowd. And, Ohio's kind of been the epicenter of what I'll call maybe the more extreme American Bulldogs, where they kind of look more of a supersize old, or maybe even lend towards kind of having a little more mastiffy look. But, so that's kind of what I was exposed to, and I was really into it. I loved the bully dogs. At one point, I thought maybe I wanted to be this purist and live within the Johnson bloodline confinements. But after kind of dabbling with that a little bit, I quickly realized that and not taking away from the guys that do the Johnson stuff, because I've seen some nicer dogs, but I was just getting too many weird things. I mean, the front ends were too forward. It was just a cumulative of kind of funkiness that I wasn't into. So,
Right.
yeah. And then through the shows, I was obviously meeting more people. Um, and I met a woman that was out of Montreal, and we had kind of befriended each other, and kind of came up with a mutual agreement. Since she was so far north and I was down here and had more access to the shows, that we kind of became kennel partners. And she was like, "Well, here, hey, how about we do this?" And it was kind of the original arrangement was that she would whelp puppies and do the actual breedings, and then I would take the prospects down here, run them through the show paces, get their titles. When I got them ready to, when we got them kind of titled and where we wanted, health tested, then I would send them back to her to get the breedings done, because I really had no interest in whelping dogs.
Right.
And then of course we kind of got knee deep into that, and she ended up having some medical issues, some health issues, and that kind of took her away from the dog. So then I was like, well, like, okay, I guess this is my gig now. So I went back up, got all the dogs that I wanted. We kind of moved dogs that we thought we wanted to wash out, and
Mhm.
then yeah, then I had a hard lesson on whelping dogs and
Boy.
breeding and all that stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
whelping's not my favorite thing.